We're going to start our analysis tonight with Paul Mitchell joining us. Thanks for being with us again on election night. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me here.
Okay, so let's just start overview as people are still out voting. I know on the East Coast, polls have closed over there. We'll talk about that a little later. But what are you watching as of right now?
Well, California has a number of competitive congressional districts. These are districts that Democrats won 7 seats in 2018, that big blue wave that happened. In 2020, Republicans clawed back 4 of those districts. So there are these seats that they've also been redrawn because of redistricting. So it adds kind of a third layer on top of the complexity of those congressional districts. There are statewide contests that aren't really as much of a attraction, not as many close races, but there are ballot measures that will be really pivotal. And one ballot measure, Prop 1, seems to be, especially for Democrats and progressive voters, a real driver, getting them out to vote. And then the last thing that we're looking at, and you covered it at the start of the broadcast, we have some crazy weather today.
On election day.
And it's not something Californians are used to. And there is literally a research study from 2007 that showed for every inch of rain, it was a 1% decrease in turnout. So it sounds crazy, but in our lives, voting, you know, we want to do it maybe after we pick up the kids or before we go to work. And so when things happen, when there's friction caused by the rain, it means that today, my wife and I had to figure out who's going to pick up our daughter because our camp got canceled. It means that all these things happen. It took longer to get here to the studio today because of traffic. So how does that impact voting in California? We're going to find out.
And despite the fact that all of us in California that are registered to vote get a mail-in ballot, still people like to go on election day.
Yeah, not only do people like to go on election day because it's a habit that they formed, or there's just kind of a romantic idea about going in and like voting in a machine. The fact is about 40% of Republicans since 2020 have said they don't trust vote by mail and they only want to vote in person and on election day. Half of Republicans in polling as recently as this year think that they don't feel confident that their ballot would be counted if they vote by mail. So the Republican Party has worked hard to try to message to voters to mail in their ballots. The chairwoman of the Republican Party in particular has been really pushing it, but they're kind of pushing uphill against some conspiracy theories, honestly, that were seeded in 2020 and could impact those voters more than others because they have said, I want to vote by mail, and if you're a voter in Galt, you said, I want to vote by mail, and all of a sudden there's a, what was that, a hurricane or a cyclone or something?
EF1 tornado.
Well, yeah, that can derail those plans.
Okay, so let's make some comparisons to primary night, where we have to remember patience on election night. A lot of these races are not going to be decided, and us political journalists, we love the upset story or something that we didn't think was going to happen happening. So it's important to remember that a lot of these races are going to be undecided. I mean, we just came out of the analysis from Dennis Shanahan or his setup for the Kermit Jones-Kiley race. And, you know, on election night during the primary, we were watching that and we were like, wait a minute, you know, is this something that is different in that district because Kermit Jones seemed to be ahead? Yeah.
So there's a number of things here. One is just the actual turnout. In the primary, there was one really prominent journalist, a political reporter, who went on Twitter and said, I don't know much about this election, but it's going to be record low turnout. And I had to push back and say, like, really? We don't know that. And in fact, the number of voters that cast ballots in the primary set a record in California for the most voters that have ever voted in a gubernatorial primary. We just have more voters, and we have more vote by mail. So what are we going to see this election cycle? We know right now only a quarter of the votes of the ballots that were mailed out to voters have been returned to county registrars. So 25% turnout right now. We don't know how many are in the mail right now. We don't know how many people are going to show up at the polling places. We would expect normally about 50% turnout in a gubernatorial general election. So on the turnout question, where are we going to be? We don't know. Then some of the results we get tonight, they might throw people for a loop. They might see somebody way ahead and not realize that, oh, those first ballots that come in, that's the early voters leaning more Democratic. Then the poll voters come in, those might lean more Republican.